Cameron Lickle has channeled his love for tennis into an entrepreneurial spirit, a vast array of successful enterprises he has been a part of. One of them is what you can see behind him. It's the Neuro Tennis. We're going to talk a lot about that. Also, a man who played professionally, coaching all over the place, was a star at the Naval Academy as a tennis player, and then served 2 tours of duty in the United States military. So much to discuss. I'm Bryan Fenley. I work for Fox Sports Radio and I'm a tennis commentator. I'm on Twitter at Bryan Fenley. Cameron, it is an honor to have you here. Thanks so much for doing this.
No, pleasure. Thank you for having me. And that's a heck of an introduction. Thank you very much.
So let's get right into it. Neuro Tennis. And you seem to be a man not only who is such a savvy businessman, but one who is at the cutting edge of technology as it relates to tennis. How do those two things come together for you here with the product and what you're trying to accomplish with Neuro Tennis?
Well, you gave me a lot of kudos right there, and I don't know that I can take a lot of credit for being at the forefront of technology. The guys that I'm working with are on the cutting edge of the technology, and they're absolute geniuses. Probably some of the smartest guys that I've ever met in my life. And the fact that they're kind of lending their expertise and giving the tennis world something is really special for all of us, because it's such a unique product that we've created, and nobody's done what we've created already. I'm sure people will start to mimic it, but this is the first of its kind, and it's very exciting.
So what exactly is it, and how is it going to help tennis players from novice to intermediate to advanced? How does it work and suit certain talent and skill levels?
Yeah, so it's a wearable wristband that goes on your wrist, and it provides instructions while you play. It's off of your ball strike or your opponent's ball strike. And Mats and I, we designed the commands that you're going to receive based on our 10 years of traveling around the world, of kind of things that people need to work on. And so there's an instruction that you get, and there's a video that comes with the app of Neuro Tennis that if you don't understand the instruction, you can go download the video, and majority are Matt's explaining what it means, but I make a couple of cameos for the ones that I created.
What's some of the feedback that you've already gotten from it? I know it's in its early stages. This has recently been out, but how people have been really enjoying this experience.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. It's a learning process. It's a learning curve for everybody, because in a lot of ways it's a very I don't like to use the word sophisticated, but it takes a little bit of, I have to understand how to customize this to cater specifically to me. Because what's the beauty of it is that you can go out and you can take and go right out onto a court and use it right away. But a command might be split step, and you might not need to hear split step. So when you go into the app, you can go and customize your own drill, take out split step, and add something that's more applicable to things that you need to work on. So sometimes, you have to get over the laziness of not you want immediate something to work for you right away.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And without, like, the people that really want to get better at tennis, this is for them. If you don't want to get better at tennis and you just are out there to hit and giggle, don't buy it. Seriously.
So that would be me, but no, I certainly would love to check this out at some point. How do people, if they're interested, get a handle of where they can find this, where they could maybe order this, as far as its distribution to the community?
One-stop shop, neurotennis.com. We do it all in-house. We take care of everything. We ship out the next day, and we have a heck of a website that kind of demonstrates every question that you could possibly ask of how the device works. So check it out. We spend a lot of time putting it together.
Neurotennis.com, and want to obviously continue to welcome Cameron Lickle is with us. I'm Bryan Fenley. You brought up Mats Wilander, former world #1 tennis player. You guys have worked together in several different enterprises, from this project to others. You have been in the past part of the Wilander on Wheels, which is a really neat venture, Cameron, where essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, but you tour the world and allow both of you to give lessons to a high volume of people And it's really neat because I've seen that at times you'll drive around in an RV. And I
Yeah.
know this isn't exactly happening right now because of COVID-19. And the hope is that down the road, this will happen again. But you're doing these really high profile training sessions. Do you still have the 1995 Winnebago you guys were driving around in?
Yeah, well, we upgraded from the 19, like when we first started, I commandeered his Winnebago that he had sitting in his backyard, and I put life-size pictures of him all over it, and his kids were like, I'm never going in that thing again. So we started WoW, and we had 3 years where we roughed it. It was him and I and a photographer, and it was small and it was tight. And then we earned the right to upgrade. And
Okay.
we ended up getting a 37-foot Thor Daybreak that had pop outs and bunk beds. And, we decked it out. So yeah, it's sitting in a storage lot just up the road, waiting to be used again at some point in the future.
What are the highlights of that specific venture that you were involved in and have done? I know you've toured the country and in the world talking about tennis, but was there a place that stood out or a group of people that you got to train that or other celebrity tennis players that you got to be around that once again promoted this aspect of what you two have done in a big way?
I get asked that question from time to time, and there's everything that we did was special about it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a cliche, but it was such a unique program that we put together where we come into your backyard and we don't know anybody that's there.
Wow.
So you have to, you got 24 personalities in a day too that you kind of have to endear each
Yeah.
personality to yourself, and that part was the special part. And at the end of the day, you go and you have lunch and dinner with everybody, and the fact that I think we haven't had a dissatisfied customer yet. But we really gave it our all. Every day we would run ourselves into the ground because he and I both didn't know how to do it differently. And we would work really, really hard with it, and each day was really fulfilling. But from going to the YMCA in South Carolina as one of our first events to having it bring us to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. I mean,
Wow.
they're all very special because not many people get to go out and sleep in an RV next to a tennis court and wake up and go play tennis. It was a dream come true, really.
You really are a diehard and you live it through based upon the actions that you've shown through supporting the game and doing everything to bring it to other people. I feel like, Cameron, you've lived multiple lives because you've accomplished so much in your lifetime already, and there's still so much that you're going to do in the future. But from, all you do with building up businesses to also strictly your love of tennis and your service to this country in military, from your tours of duty during some of the Middle East conflicts, which happened after college, after you were playing at the Naval Academy and had a STEAM career in college as a tennis player. And then you make the move to being there for our country and serving our country. And you did 2 tours of duty. When you go back to that time, and those conflicts, how did that shape your perspective, not just on tennis because it's always been a part of you, but on life, on the world, and how you see things?
Yeah, great question. Well, it was, all my chapters in life have been very special and they've shaped who I've become today. But really, for me, in a lot of ways, doing my service and my 2 tours and my time in the military, for me, it gave me the right to do whatever I wanted to do. Right. And so when I left the military, I remember saying, I'm going to play tennis till the money ran out. And I wish I didn't love tennis as much as I do, because it's a hard sport to make business in, as many people are out there, they find. Um, but I love it so much. And I remember I was living under the stairs of a buddy's place, like after I left, because I'm not making any money now, and I'm going and grinding it out in futures tournaments in Mexico, living with 4 dudes in a Holiday Inn. And I remember when I met Mats, I met him in Sun Valley, Idaho, and there was a gentleman who brought me out to be the ringer, because you got to make money in one way or another to support your dreams and your passion. And Mats was hitting on the court next to me on the last day I was there, and he does one of these, sticking his head around the corner. He says, hey man, you want to hit sometime? And I go, well, I leave tomorrow at 12. And he says, well, let's hit at 8. So I said, okay. So I remember that night I called everybody I knew. I was like a little kid in a candy shop. I laid out my clothes of what I was going to wear. And we went out, we hit for 2 hours. It was fantastic. One of the greatest training sessions I've ever had. And I was sitting in with the head pro dissecting what had happened. It was 45 minutes later, and Mats comes back and from showering, goes, oh, you're still here? I've got an exhibition match against Pete Sampras. Do you want to come out and get me ready for it?
Oh, wow.
The answer rhymes with yes. So, now I'm on cloud 9, but I remember flying home that afternoon, and I'm scared to fly at the time. I'm now a licensed pilot, but I was scared to fly. And I was hitting turbulence because you're coming out of Sun Valley. There's all these mountains and wind that causes the turbulence. And I remember thinking that if the plane went down, it's true, honest feeling here, that I would die happy, because I just shared this moment with a legend of the game and one of my idols growing up, and that was real. But when I was in the military, I was willing to sacrifice my life, but there wasn't a time while I was over in the Middle East, like sitting on one on an aircraft carrier and another on a transport ship where we brought over the 31st MEU that took over Fallujah in 2004. But there wasn't one time there where I said, man, if I died today, I would die happy. Sure. So as great as that was, tennis was a real love. And it was, I just wish it was, I wish I could turn that off. But then, so that's how WOW came about, was that passion that I felt. I said, well, man, I could bring that to the world. And yeah, well, that's what we did.
And the aforementioned Mats Wilander, a man who's won many Grand Slams, a US Open, Australian Opens, French Opens. So you two have developed quite the successful partnership and are working in different layers and levels of tennis, which has been profound. You were a nuclear engineer while you were serving the country in the Middle East. And so when I hear that, I'm like, this guy's really smart. This guy's really good with just numbers and planning stuff out. So no wonder you've had so much success beyond that in the tennis realm, because of how you've had to choreograph all of this and make all of this possible. Do you find that at times your background as a nuclear engineer helps the way you envision things as a businessman, as someone who's trying to make a living through tennis to this day?
Only from the fact that I had to work really hard, because I'm not that smart. And I appreciate that you just said that, but for me as a nuclear engineer and going to nuclear power school and prototype and all, there's the guys that are there are the guys that you want there, because if you meet them, they pick it up and it's like this, and it's like Beethoven on a piano. They just go, oh yeah, I get all this thermodynamic stuff. For me, I went to nuclear power school on a $20 bet while I was at the Naval Academy with my roommate, who said, well, what are you going to service select? And I hadn't made my decision yet. And he said, I was joking, and I said I was going to go nuke, because I was an economics major. And at the Naval Academy, if you take economics, you're considered a dummy, because you should be an engineer of some sort. So he goes, no, you're not smart enough to be a nuke. So I bet $20 that I could pass the nuke test. So they have a book, and I studied it for 3 days. And then you go to there was a Navy shipyard, and where the admiral of the nuclear Navy is there, and you have to go through these meetings where you go in and you're dressed in your SDBs, and you go into these rooms, and they have chalkboards, and they just ask you physics questions, chemistry questions, thermodynamic questions, and each are an hour and a half. And then at the end of it, if anybody's out there that knows or if you've heard of Admiral Rickover, who's the father of the nuclear Navy, and he created all these like horrible situations for the nuke guys to walk into his office to make them uncomfortable. So that's what they try to do. And you go and you sit down with and I forget the admiral's name, but he said, congratulations, you're going to be part of the nuke community. Wow. I go, oh no. And so I would do everything again, except for actually choosing that, because it was really hard for me. Like I was there from 5 in the morning until literally 10 at night, because it was all top secret information. So you couldn't take it home to study. And for that 6 months at nuclear power school, oh my goodness, just dedication to it. And that's, I would argue, what it's taught me in the business world of, I don't stop, right? It's just, it keeps going and keep going until it clicks.
You got your beginnings at the United States Naval Academy, where you were a tennis player and a really good one at that. How did you end up there as far as where you wanted to play collegiately?
I saw it on television. You know how they have Discovery Channel, they have Shark Week.
Yeah.
So they have Academy Week. And
Oh,
they had the guys graduating in his whites, and he was so excited. I remember he was jumping off the stage. And for some reason, it gave me goosebumps, right? I mean, you can't help what you like. And it gave me goosebumps. And I turned to my buddy and go, dude, that's what I'm going to do. And he says, there's, again, no chance that you're the guy that could do that. But then he also said, but if there was anybody that was going to do it, it would be you. And so you spend a year and a half filling out applications and learning how you're going to get there. And then it came time to decide. I got into the Naval Academy in Boston College, and I knew what BC would be like. I already had friends there. You're down partying in the mods, super fun. But I would always have wondered what Naval Academy would have been like. And so I didn't want to have that wonder or doubt, because I always said, okay, I'll go try it. If I don't like it, I'll leave. And ironically enough, I mean, that was, looking back, that was a very mature decision I made at a very young age. But in all the travels, how many times I've met people that say, you know, I got into the Naval Academy and I didn't go, and I wish I had. And I don't have that wonder or doubt. But for the same reason, when it came time to decide whether to get out of the military, I didn't want to wonder or doubt whether I could have been a tennis player, right? Like everybody's, oh, I used to play and I could have been good.
yeah, yeah.
So I got out to pursue tennis, to never have that question. And then right place, right time, WOW started, and it's just started this whole unbelievable trajectory.
And it's going to continue to launch. You dismiss your intelligence, but then when you talk about what you studied, how you got into the Naval Academy, which is very challenging to do, I think, sir, you're just being a little bit humble, and you have also funneled in the hard work into all of these different variety of companies, which shows how successful you are and will continue to be. And it's fun to see how you've used tennis as a vehicle for that. There are so many different titles to describe you, from a tennis player, a coach, an all-around good guy, to a businessman, entrepreneur. It's fascinating, Cameron, how whatever you put your energy into is successful. And I think it goes back to your roots, like you said, in the Navy, and having that as something that formed your outlook on life, and that you are going to put everything into something you do to make sure that it does work out and is successful. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and I look forward to monitoring everything you guys are doing in the near future. I'm Bryan Fenley. Cameron Lickle is with us. Cameron, you mentioned neurotennis.com. Is that the best way for anybody who's interested in you reaching out to you to get a hold of you? Because I want to make sure as many people know about you, but also if they're interested, that they know how to reach you as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good forum, you know, if you reach out to Neuro Tennis, but there's a couple different hats I wear with Vilander on Wheels. I have WOW Sports, where that was the branch off of WOW, where I somehow convinced Jimmy Connors to go on the road with me and create like a similar program, and Murphy Jensen and Vince Spadia. And the latest project we have is something called Global Tennis Professionals. So, you know, we've got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. And so it's not that hard to find me if you want to find me.
Yeah.
But you gotta have to want to find me. That's all.
Chances are you'll find him at a tennis court. Cameron Lickle, I'm Bryan Fenley. Thanks so much for doing this. Look forward to following your career and more that you're doing. Let's stay in touch, and so glad that you're having so much success, and continued success to you in your future.
Same to you, and thanks for taking the time and asking questions. Thank you so much.